1,011. So that's a pretty big number, huh? I should know, I'm kind of an expert when it comes to numbers. But I'm not about to go all Dr. K on you discussing the properties of some huge number. In fact, I'm not going to be talking about numbers at all today. Though I personally find mathematics rather fascinating, I know that's far from being a widespread opinion. And in addressing you all, it seemed important to speak to something more universal, something that could unite us all. So what could possibly unite every single person in this room? Is it our shared admiration and respect for the many accomplishments of this fabulous class? Maybe. But I get the vibe that some of us are just here for the free food. I'm looking at you, Mr. Lee! Could it be that everyone in this room shares a deep passion for the beauty of the Hebrew language? Lo. Ani ohevet ivrit, aval lo kulanu margishim kaha. No, that which unites every single person in this room is the fact that this morning, each and every one of us looked in the mirror. Now, that commonality might at first seem rather surface level. Is it really all that notable that we all looked at our reflection today? It's kind of a perfunctory act, and a rather superficial one at that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that that commonality does matter a lot. I think that looking in the mirror is one of the most important things that we as humans do. One of my favorite psychological studies, one that many of you are already familiar with, discusses the surprisingly positive effect a quick glance in the mirror can have on a person. One Halloween, researchers set up 2 houses that were ostensibly the same in every way. Each house had a welcoming foyer and lots of decorations, and a big, unattended bowl of candy. And in each house, that unattended bowl of candy was accompanied by what any seasoned trick-or-treater knows to be a completely futile request. Please take just one. The only difference between the 2 houses in the study was the fact that one house had a large mirror in its entryway. And in that house, significantly more kids followed directions and took just one piece of candy. So what difference did looking in the mirror make? Well, it meant that some people actively watched themselves as they made a decision. It heightened their self-awareness. Instead of getting lost in the mayhem of Halloween, kids who saw their reflection in the mirror were reminded of who they were as individuals. Now, this result has actually been duplicated again and again. If you sit someone at a desk that has a mirror on it, they're less likely to cheat on a test. If you serve someone food off of a mirrored platter, they will choose healthier foods. There is something about the literal act of self-reflection that prompts us to become our best version of self. Now, class of 2011, I trust that as you all move forward with your lives, you're going to find time most every day to look in the mirror. You'll put in your contacts, you'll look for zits, you'll put on makeup. Many of you will admire your new eyebrow piercing, and then later work furiously to conceal that piercing from your parents before winter break. I imagine that some amongst you will one day wake up, look in the mirror, and discover that your frat brothers have written all over your face in permanent marker while you've slept. What I'd ask is that each and every one of you go one step further. Sure, you can look in the mirror and primp and groom and preen, but once you're done with that, take a good, solid look at you. You see, the next several years of your lives are going to be filled with a lot of defining moments. And what's amazing is that now, more than ever before, you are the one who does the defining. You get to decide not only who you are and what you want to be when you grow up, you get to start deciding what matters to you. I graduated from high school precisely 10 years ago. Well, 10 and a half. Not all of us have the joy of graduating in February. But anyway, I spent the past decade marveling and puzzling over the fact that clear mandates as to how I should best lead my life have all but disappeared. High school is challenging because you're constantly working to live up to some standard of excellence that your parents and your teachers define for you. Life thereafter is challenging and quite marvelous, actually, because you're not just working towards a standard of excellence, you're determining what excellence means for you. As you all embrace that challenge and become vibrant adults, I implore you to stay attuned to who you are as individuals and avoid simply going with the flow. Strive to actively choose your choices. Whether it's going to law school or taking more candy than you're supposed to, you should never be doing anything simply because it's what everyone else seems to be doing. Be reflective about your lives. Life is not an absolute value function. Things don't always come out positive. But that's okay. In fact, I dare say it's a good thing that we make mistakes and that things go wrong, provided we pay attention, provided you stay aware of what makes you happy and what doesn't. Perhaps the single most important piece of advice I can give you today is that from here on out, if you don't like what's happening in your life, you can and you should change something. Insist on friends who bring out the best in you. Insist on a major that you're genuinely interested in. And insist on a job you want to go to. Insist, quite simply, that when you gaze in the mirror each day, the person gazing back is someone you really, really like. It seems clear to me that holding up a mirror to our lives and to ourselves is one of the best tools we have at our disposal as we work to become the people we wish to be. I'm not trying to claim that looking in the mirror can cause world peace or anything, but I think it can increase integrity and personal fulfillment. And for the record, when World War I came to an end, where was the Treaty of Versailles signed? Well, Versailles, but more specifically, in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. So maybe the claim that looking in the mirror can cause a little bit of world peace isn't that far-fetched after all. Class of 2011, on behalf of your faculty, I just want to share that we are exceptionally proud of you today. If your skills, talents, creativity, and enormous energy are any reflection on us as your teachers, I think we're all feeling quite proud right now. I know that speaking personally, when I reflect on my life, I feel incredibly fortunate to have had the opportunity to have learned, laughed, and enormous inflatable water slided with all of you. I first interviewed at JDS 3 years ago, and I gave a model lesson to a class of students from this grade. You were actually the very first JDS students I met. And after discussing circles with you for a mere 53 minutes, I felt quite convinced that this was the place for me. So thanks. Thanks for being the effusive, enthusiastic learners that you are, and for bringing me into your lives. Teaching you has been a joy and a privilege. So if any of you ever come by my house and I've left a big bowl of goodies unattended, you should feel free to take as many pieces of candy as you want. Mazel tov.